All right, so this is the Declaration of Independence and Constitution reading comprehension questions. Let's change that. Com- and reading comprehension questions from the American Revolution Unit. So, the American Revolution was a time when the British colonists in America rebelled against the rule of Great Britain. They were inspired to revolt based on the ideas of the Enlightenment philosophers like John Locke and Jean Jacques Rousseau. Thanks to Enlightenment ideas about political rights and good government, the colonists would revolt and formed the first modern democratic nation, the United States of America. One of the main reasons that the colonists rebelled against Great Britain is that they felt they were not represented in the British government. Britain and France fought a war for control of North America that we call the French and Indian War. Britain won the French and Indian War in 1763 and gained almost all of France's territory in North America. However, Britain was in debt. By the late 1760s, the British government was making new laws and placing taxes on the American colonies to pay off those war debts. The colonies had no say in the taxes. As colonists, they were not allowed to send members to the British Parliament located in London. They wanted to have some say in the British government if they were going to pay high taxes and have to live by British law. Angry over the taxes, the colonists started a boycott or refused to buy British goods or pay the taxes. The colonists united under the slogan, "No taxation without representation," meaning they cannot be taxed if they are not allowed their own representatives in Parliament. So, question one. The American colonists were inspired to revolt against the British based on the ideas from which time period that we have studied this year? Please write your answer in this box. Question two. What was the main reason the colonists rebelled against the British? Write your answer here, please. Question three. Great Britain was in debt after fighting and winning the French and Indian War. What was Great Britain's plan to raise money and pay off its war debt? And then question four. If the British government was going to tax the American colonists, what did the colonists want in return? 9 points. The debate over taxation started to escalate into violence between the colonists and the British. This resulted in the Boston Massacre and later the Boston Tea Party. These events led to colonists electing officials to represent them at the First Continental Congress in 1774. Eventually, in 1776, after the battles of Lexington and Concord a year earlier, the Second Continental Congress issued the Declaration of Independence of the United States, declaring independence from Great Britain. The Declaration of Independence stated the colonies were separating from Britain and forming a new nation, the United States of America. It explained the reasons why the American colonists were creating a new nation. The Declaration also stated that all men are created equal and have certain unalienable rights, which means those rights cannot be taken away. The document was inspired by the Enlightenment, especially the philosophers John Locke and Jean Jacques Rousseau. Locke inspired the idea that people can change their government if it does not do its main job of supporting people's natural rights. Rousseau would inspire the idea that people give governments the right to rule. And again, call that popular sovereignty. Question 5. What was the purpose of the Declaration of Independence? Question 6. How did the Enlightenment philosopher John Locke inspire the Declaration of Independence? Question 7. How did the Enlightenment philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau inspire the Declaration of Independence? Question 8 is multiple choice. Why did the colonists write the Declaration of Independence? Why? Were they asking for forgiveness from the king for the colonists? Were they explaining it was time for the colonies to separate from Great Britain? What are they describing what Britain needed to do to win back their loyalty of the colonies? Or were they asking what other nations could do to help the colonies win their independence? After independence, delegates or representatives from the states met to create a constitution. It was completed in 1787. The new government of the United States was different from the government of the colonist homeland, Great Britain. They created a constitution, which is a document that states how a government works. Like the Declaration of Independence, the United States Constitution draws upon the ideas of the Enlightenment, including the social contract and natural rights. The Constitution states that we, the people of the United States of America, make it clear that the people are the source of a democratic government with leaders elected by the people. Further, The Bill of Rights, which are the first 10 amendments to the Constitution that spell out our basic rights, enforces the ideas that all people are guaranteed certain rights and freedoms under the law. This comes from the ideas of Voltaire from the Enlightenment. The Constitution also draws on the ideas of the ancient Romans and Baron de Montesquieu. It calls for the separation of powers, where the delegates divide power in the national government between the three branches: the executive branch, led by the president, the legislative branch, which is Congress, and the judicial branch, which is the Supreme Court. Furthermore, a system of checks and balances enabled each branch to limit or reduce the power of the other branches to make sure that no one branch becomes the most powerful. The United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights would go on to inspire other countries to create similar constitutions on their own. So, question 9. List 2 ideas from the Enlightenment time period that the authors of the United States Constitution used. This is worth 10 points. Question 10. What is the purpose of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution? And number 11. How do you see influence of the Enlightenment philosopher Baron de Montesquieu in the United States Constitution? The Constitution has a Bill of Rights, or the Constitution protects religious freedom, or the Constitution guarantees the freedom of speech, or the Constitution develops 3 branches in the government.